Hello, hello, Explearners.
Hello.
Welcome to another Explearning Conversation with Greg and MD. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good day. I have
Wherever
to say
you
that.
are.
I have to say that.
I know. I like it. It has like a ring to it.
It's a fun opener.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people chiming in from all over the world. So at every, the time zone, right? Everyone is
It's true.
watching at a different time.
At any given moment, it's a different time of day depending where you are.
Which I love. It's so cool.
Yeah.
So I
it's
just
one of the coolest things.
wanted to honor that. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. I'm excited for today's discussion.
Yes, me too. I'm always excited to
What
talk
do we have?
with you about this stuff. So we're talking about the soft skills for success. And okay, success is quite broad, but specifically career success. Like what are the soft skills that you'll need in your career? And so earlier this week, we put out the video about, when AI becomes even more prevalent and AI is replacing more and more jobs, what does that mean for us? What does that mean for our careers? And so we talked about different types of like communication soft skills within the communication space of what we need to do.
Yeah, I mean, these are critical. And even before AI, soft skills were important skills to have, right? If you look at the top skills that employers want, certainly in the last few decades, the soft skills have been rising steadily to the top. Now, there are obviously exceptions in certain very specialized roles. Sometimes that field knowledge is the most important, right? That domain-specific knowledge. But I have to say, even in those contexts, if you're going to be a manager in that field, if you're going to interact with clients, you still need soft skills.
Yeah.
Right? They're so important. And when you take a look at the list, the majority of these soft skills are centered around basically communication and social skills.
100%. And it's a shame that it's called soft skills because that kind of is misleading. It makes it feel sort of like it demeans it. And it's actually like even more important in some aspects than like the hard skills that, okay, we need too. And the technical skills, yes, are also equally important. But in some cases, you need that extra finesse. You need to be able to communicate to your fellow human. And that is of the utmost priority.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know why soft skills. You know what it is? I do know why. Or I can make a good guess.
Tell us.
So my understanding is that early on in the formation of corporations, right, businesses with lots of employees, you had factories, right? So that was the Industrial Revolution when the corporation really took off.
That's when the 9-to-5 was established.
That's when you had the 9 to 5. That's when you had the assembly lines with Henry Ford.
In fact, that's when the Monday to Friday schedule started.
Monday, Friday.
The 2-day weekend.
Absolutely, yeah. And all of that was centered around factory output, right? How many widgets can you put out?
The assembly line.
The assembly line.
So like Greg is over here doing something, and then the assembly line, the band starts to move, and then I do something, and then
right, exactly.
The next person
it gradually builds a thing. You have a very specific job. And that's where hard skills were needed, right? When you need to do something very specific. It didn't matter how well you could communicate with your colleagues. It didn't matter how well you could manage conflict. All that mattered was,
he passes this to me.
Can I screw this off and then move to her?
And then I make sure this is working.
You would have gotten fired because you wasted a click.
I know. And then we're not talking about it, right? He literally passes it to me.
Exactly. So it was a very specific, very narrow application of your skills.
Right.
In which case you didn't need soft skills because you didn't use them. These days, when you get a job, more often than not, they'll want you to do a variety of things, right? And it probably involves interacting with other people and learning, right? Learning what to do and how to get better at what it is you're doing. They don't necessarily expect you to come on with all the knowledge off the bat.
Yeah, of course.
And so for that reason, these soft skills really become much more important. And these days, you would find that if you ask a recruiter what's more important, they will almost across the board say soft skills.
Yeah. Because the other stuff can be taught in a way that you get it and you get it right.
Quickly.
You get it quickly. Whereas with the soft skills, it's constant, right? It's what we do on this channel. It's constant, the challenges and the strategies and practicing them and trying them out in different settings. I wanted to talk about one thing before we jump in quickly. Some people might be watching and saying, well, I get the importance of soft skills, but I'm an engineer or I'm a coder and I don't really talk to anyone all day. I'm at my computer. Having coding experience, and you're at a high level of coding.
I'm mid-range, but
okay.
Yes.
Well,
Carrying on.
He's very modest and humble, but anyways, having that like background, what would you say to somebody who kind of brushes off the soft skills because they're and rightfully so, like they're at a computer all day, they don't interact with anyone, they could be just in one room without any other human interaction? What would you say to that?
It's a great question, and the answer is any serious coder, right? Any serious programmer knows that these things aren't a one-man show, right? Occasionally you can have a product, and some people like to build their own things, and it's only their own thing. But the reality is there's so much collaboration that takes place over GitHub and any other project management platform, Trello. There's tons of communication, and frankly, it's tough communication because it's done with most of the time in written form, right?
Yes.
And as we know, when you write as opposed to speak, there's much less communicative power in just your words, right? You don't have body language. You can't read their facial expressions. So the communication aspect actually becomes very important.
Yeah.
There's a company called Automatic.
Oh.
And they're almost purely remote.
What kind of industry?
So this is it's technology.
Okay.
They power most of the web. Ooh. So if you've heard of WordPress
they're the ones behind
is this
it.
offshoot, or not an offshoot, but a subsidiary of Automatic. And Automatic is kind of the larger paid version. But something like 80% of the web is powered by Automatic.
Wow.
And they actually conduct their entire interview process through email.
Wow.
And chat, right? So
that makes sense. Why?
Right. And what they're specifically testing for, it's not that they want to test your coding skills.
Maybe they're testing your grammar.
Your portfolio already speaks for that. They want to test how well can you communicate your ideas over these written platforms.
Yeah.
But that just goes to show that the communication there is important. That's the primary component of their interview, is how well can you communicate with me over email and Slack and whatever communication channels you're using.
And a lot of times too, just to add to that, people are looking, like companies are looking to hire coders, even like the solopreneur coders. And so you'll be interfacing with clients, with people. So
yeah, when you say hire, you mean contract.
Contract.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, that's more apt. And so you do actually need to be able to have the ability to interface with another human.
Totally.
Okay, so let's jump into the skills. So we covered communication. So that's one, right? A soft skill. I really don't like this word. It's a pet peeve of mine. Adaptability is another one, right? The ability to adapt to different types of situations. Right? Think of a robot. It's programmed to do one thing, and it will execute on that. It will not adapt. It will. I mean, if you've ever watched Battlestar Galactica, you'll know, right? And so that's a very human quality that we have, but we really have to nurture, right? So adaptability.
Totally. Yeah, I love adaptability because it's what makes us human, right? Yeah. We're able to reassess the situation and do something different. There's no program saying that sort of we have to stay within these boundaries. We can do something completely out of the blue and spontaneous. That's just not something that really you can program very easily in a way that's productive.
Right, and you follow like your heart and your gut, and you think about the empathy, and so that's really important. And then teamwork is another one, because we have to work in teams, and we like working in teams, and we should be working in teams because that's part of the collaboration that happens.
Yeah.
So
and teamwork, when you think about what that entails, it's not just sort of, I finished this part of the project, now it's your turn. It's also, how busy are you? How are you feeling right now? Are you confused? Is this clear, right? There's a lot more to teamwork than just moving the sort of widget down the assembly line, as we were discussing before. So yeah, teamwork is absolutely a soft skill, and it's not something you can really program.
Yeah, and similar to that is also like being able to critically observe something and look at it and being able to change your, mind about it, being able to talk about it critically in order to improve it. So the critical observation is important.
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything about that?
No, I think you said it well.
And then the conflict resolution is also very important because, well, we all know that it's difficult to come to a resolution when things are heated and when emotions are high. But again, robots are not going to be able to do that because they're going to be programmed to. At least they'll have like one response, maybe, or I don't even really know.
Well, robots themselves aren't going to fight, but you also have people. At the end of the day, no matter how much AI you're implementing into your workflow, there's still a person behind that, right?
True.
There's someone's got to be pulling the levers, starting and stopping things. And when you interface with them, and when they're interfacing with other people, there's inevitably going to be conflict, even if it's happening higher up the rung. And so, yeah, conflict resolution is always
important.
relevant. In any context, there's no way to avoid it.
That's right. So you ready for the final two?
Boom.
All right. So similar to conflict resolution, let's try that again, is this idea of being solutions oriented, like coming up with multiple possible scenarios or alternatives or trying to problem solve in like a creative way. I think AI will help assist that because AI will be able to calculate like millions, maybe trillions of possible solutions. But again, like what you're alluding to is that AI, at least right now, is only going to be as good as the humans behind it.
Yeah, and
right?
It really struggles with contextual judgment, right? Of these many solutions, which is appropriate for their circumstance, right? One of these solutions might have objectively scored higher on whatever system was created, but it may not be a good fit for what's actually needed, even though it scored well. And it takes a human to make that sort of judgment call.
Right, putting it into the proper context. And the last one is leadership, right? Unless we're going to have, a robot lead us, lead a team, lead
Scary
a company. Thought. I mean, it might happen. I don't know if in our lifetime, but
even if that's the case, okay, there's a robot leading a team. But again, there always is a human at some level, behind them, right? So even if a robot's managing a team, but there's someone sort of telling that program,
kind of scary,
at that robot how to manage the team, right?
Right.
At some point, there's a human making a judgment call, and if the higher up you go, the more onus there is to understand team dynamics. Because if you're going to make a program manage a team or a robot manage a team, you better well make sure that it does it well, right? Particularly if you have multiple lines, you don't want some domino effect happening there. So
you still need to be able to have that leadership soft skill. Yeah. Again, soft skill, to be able to program the robot to do that.
Yep.
So these are a few of them, and a lot of what we do on this channel will help you, improve upon and ameliorate those skills that we just mentioned. If you have anything to add, we always love hearing from you. So share that with us in the comments. And that's all for today.
That's all for today. We'd love to hear your thoughts on other soft skills that could be powerful in the age of AI.
Yeah.
Because these, this is some of them. But we'd love to hear your thoughts as well. I'm sure you have other ideas and what's worth developing in terms of skills that keep you relevant. So.
Well said.
All right.
All right, everyone. We'll
Thanks
see you.
Thanks for joining us and
Happy
catch you next
explearning.
time. Happy explearning.